Welcome to L'Arche Chicago's 20th anniversary celebration. We are sad that we can't be with you in person, but are so happy that you can join us tonight virtually. Throughout our program, feel free to ask us questions, share stories, and chat with us. There will be links in the description and chat. For more information, feel free to go to our website at www.larchechicago.org. We hope you enjoy our program. Nestled in two Chicagoland neighborhoods just west of the city are L'Arche Chicago's three homes, where core members, adults with intellectual disabilities, share life and everyday activities with assistants, direct support staff.
Everyone has their own space, and there's enough room for all of us to exist in the same place together in a very wonderful and easy way.
And we would go out to TGI Fridays and Saturday nights with Friendship House after dinner.
And sometimes Culver's.
Culver's or Avenue Ale House.
The mission of L'Arche is lived through daily life together, afternoon walks to the park, doctor's appointments, social gatherings, and dinner parties with friends and friends of friends.
When it's dark, you never know when Jean's gonna be waiting behind the door when you open it. Made me jump quite a few times, but I've gotten you back.
We believe these seemingly ordinary shared experiences have deep significance, precisely because they are shared.
Some of my favorite moments in Angel House are dancing with Christiane. She said earlier we didn't dance. We don't have dance parties, and that was a lie. We dance all the time.
It is our mission to provide the highest quality of life for each core member. We value and celebrate the unique gifts of each person, and we are committed to life together in a way that welcomes our differences.
It takes everyone kind of working together to make it a functional home that is a place where everyone can thrive and is life-giving, and yeah, it takes all of us.
As our society seems increasingly fearful of difference, L'Arche offers a needed counterstory. That the differences so often keeping people apart can become the substance of joyful and transformative relationships. So much of life in L'Arche happens in the homes, between core members and the assistants, doing simple things like sharing a meal together, having coffee and a conversation. And there are so many other people who are involved with L'Arche, who came in through an invitation by a core member and assistant, coming to say, you should check this place out. Helen is one of those people who was invited into the community, loved what she saw, and decided to commit to it. And so I'm happy to introduce Helen Mendoza.
Good evening, friends of L'Arche, and thank you for sharing some time with us tonight as we celebrate 20 years as a community and nonprofit. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Helen Mendoza. I've been a member of the L'Arche Chicago Board for 9 years and was asked to share a few words with you tonight on behalf of this amazing organization and the people with and without disabilities whose lives have all been transformed by the simple act of living together. The first word that comes to mind is community. I was asked to join the board in 2011 by family member and past board president Don Robbie, who along with his wife Carol had been members of the community for 6 years. When Don first introduced me to L'Arche, I was immediately taken in by a profound sense of purpose and dedication that I saw on the faces of the assistants, community leaders, and fellow board members. But it wasn't until I met and began to get to know some of the core members that I began to understand how L'Arche was more than just a collection of people living together. L'Arche is made up of people who've chosen to share their lives with each other, and the difference could not be more significant or impactful. That brings me to the next word that comes to mind when I think about L'Arche, and that's thrive. L'Arche Chicago is established with the firm belief that its core members will better thrive in a smaller home environment with fewer core members and fewer assistants, which creates a kind of family household dynamic, thus providing a better opportunity to build close relationships. For 20 years, this fundamental strategy of L'Arche Chicago has been successful, as its core members past and present have all experienced the benefits of living in a thriving environment. Things like self-choice and self-determination, larger social networks and friends, increased access to community facilities, greater participation in community life, greater opportunities to develop and maintain skills that foster independence, increased acceptance from other members of the community, and greater overall satisfaction in life. The level of stewardship I've seen and been fortunate to have been a part of in my years with L'Arche Chicago has been nothing short of remarkable. The commitment this organization makes to its community and the fiscal responsibility for making it possible has been an inspiration to me, and the results of our growth and thriving communities is evident in every endeavor we've undertaken. Given this environment, it's not surprising that L'Arche Chicago answers 1 to 3 requests for service every week, and our wait list is consistently full. There is a great demand for more small home living arrangements among Chicago's population of adults with intellectual disabilities. Because L'Arche Chicago homes are homes for life for each core member, our turnover is very low. And because L'Arche Chicago prioritizes meeting the evolving needs of its core members, with each core member aging in place, we are now confronting a pressing need to modify our homes accordingly. In order for us to not only maintain but enhance the quality of life standards for these core members, we must adapt their living environments to meet the range of their physical abilities. So here's another word I would ask you to think about, the word opportunity. Given both the high demand for community integrated living spaces as well as the critical need to adapt our home environments, now is the time for L'Arche Chicago to acquire its 4th home, and it's an opportunity for each of us to be a part of this important and vital next step. Our plan is to conduct our search for the right home in close proximity to our existing homes so as to preserve the friendships and community engagement of the core members. Simultaneously, we're launching a new capital campaign to fund this 4th home, and we couldn't be more excited. For the past 20 years, L'Arche Chicago has opened doors, revealing the truth that adults with intellectual disabilities are important and needed contributors in our society. The Open Doors campaign to fund the purchase of a 4th fully accessible home follows through on our commitment to provide the highest quality of life standards for our friends. Once the home is purchased, we will commence accessibility modifications to make the home fully ADA compliant, including variable height countertops, wider halls and doorways to accommodate wheelchairs and walkers, needed ramps, plumbing adaptations, and accessible storage at several height levels. While the value of a fully ADA compliant home for aging core members and those with physical disabilities is without question, there's more to it than just that. A 4th home for L'Arche Chicago will provide opportunities for existing core members to gather and deepen their existing relationships, including neighbors in the community, as well as creating room for new core members, adults with disabilities seeking the same thriving community and interaction. But in order to take this important step in this chapter of our story, we need your financial support. Every single dollar will help our campaign, but we are certainly hoping you'll want to play a bigger part in helping L'Arche Chicago realize this goal. A gift of $500 or $50 or even $25 will make the difference. So here's where the opportunity part comes in. A longtime friend and generous supporter of L'Arche Chicago has agreed to match the first $40,000. That means we can actually double the first $40,000 we raise, which would go a long way to enable us to open a 4th fully accessible home for adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities in the Chicagoland community. Please go to larchechicago.org/open-doors and make a much-needed financial contribution to this important community effort. All donations are fully tax-deductible. So in closing, the last word I want to share with you is dream. Most of us are familiar with the idea of a dream house, or a place we might dream about living one day. But how many of us dream about living independently, enjoying greater participation in community life, or just being treated with respect? A recent Fair Housing Trends report indicated that disability-based complaints comprise the largest share of reporting housing discrimination complaints each year. As these trends continue, the demand for accessible, adaptive housing in the United States will only grow among individuals with intellectual or developmental disabilities. As a result of these inequities, people with disabilities are often forced to choose between institutionalized facilities or substandard living environments that lack necessary accessibility features. A 2019 housing study from the ARC and the Council on Quality and Leadership revealed that people with disabilities, and I'll quote here, dream of having independence and opportunities, a setting that is physically accessible, having the ability to see their friends whenever they want, being treated with respect, and having quality and well-paid support staff. That's the mission at L'Arche Chicago. I've seen it in action during my years with the board, and I know in my heart it will continue as current and future stewards of L'Arche Chicago guide this community toward its fully realized dream. You too can help, and I hope you choose to donate to this effort. Thank you for your support and have a great evening.
I'm at Angel House, the first home at L'Arche Chicago. This home was founded 20 years ago by Sister Maria when she and Albert chose to live together in community. Back then, 20 years ago, the primary things that we did at this house were eat meals together, support each other, and care for each other. That's something that we're still doing today, relating to each other, cooking together, and caring for each other. And that's something that we look forward to doing for a long time into the future, for the next 20 years and beyond. All of this started when Sister Maria followed her intuition to live in community, and it's something that we continue to live out of today.
Happy anniversary, L'Arche Chicago. Has it really been 20 years since we welcomed Albert Lott and Jean Wilson as our founding core members? My name is Maria Ziman. I'm a Franciscan sister from Clinton, Iowa. 20 years ago, I had the privilege of working with a remarkable group of people to start L'Arche in Chicago. And this is how it happened. Even though at a young age, I had answered the call to become a Franciscan sister, for many years I would still wonder, how am I really being called to live my life? I'd been a teacher for 20 years, a parish minister for 8 years, and in religious community leadership for 8 years. Now it was 1996 and I was given a sabbatical year. I could choose how I wanted to live it. I knew I wanted something that was mainly heart-centered rather than just head-centered. I decided to be an assistant in a L'Arche community, and L'Arche Mobile welcomed me. It so happened that the U.S. Central Regional Coordinator lived in Mobile. At the end of my time as an assistant, Dennis O'Keefe, the regional coordinator, asked me to help start L'Arche in Chicago. My heart had been readied, so I gave him a heartfelt yes. And I've been in or a part of L'Arche ever since. I've stopped wondering what I've been called to live. And that's because L'Arche communities welcome people no matter what race, color, nationality, religion or no religion, sexual orientation or intellectual ability. All are welcomed. Where else can we find that hospitality? Not in most churches or educational systems or governments or countries, including our own. Once we experience this way of life in L'Arche, we realize we can live it everywhere and at all times. L'Arche describes this way of life in its identity statement, which reads, and I quote, "Mutual relationships and trust in God are at the heart of our journey together. We celebrate the unique value of every person and recognize our need for one another. Mutual relationships look like this. Not like this, not like this, like this. It doesn't mean that there's no authority. Even authority can look like this. Authority doesn't mean power over. Now, imagine what our cities, states, and countries would look like if we agreed on mutual relationships and truly trusted in a higher power. How would this pandemic look if we believed, and our leaders believed, we are on this journey together and have need for one another? How would the demonstrations for Black Lives Matter look if there were mutual relationships between authority and demonstrators? If we celebrated the unique value of every person, every race, every color, every religion, would we even need demonstrations? Large communities lived these values even before they put it in writing. The very process of choosing our new identity and mission statement gave witness to these values. In the year 2000, as we entered the 21st century, L'Arche worldwide entered into a reflection process. L'Arche at that time was about 40 years old. A good time to ask ourselves, how are we doing? The process was designed to include over 100 communities in 38 countries over 5 continents. Every person in each of those over 100 communities, core members, assistants, leaders, board members, even volunteers, had an opportunity to give input. Think of the different languages and cultures and distances involved in this process. After 3 years of reviewing input summaries, the International Committee sent a first draft of the new statement to every community, again asking for input. Then this was followed by an international meeting of about 500 people, representing the 100 communities, inviting conversations about the new identity and mission statement. More input. The final acceptance came 2 years later. The whole process took 5 years. Now imagine our country spending that much time and energy to assure that every person eligible to vote would be given that opportunity instead of putting obstacles and regulations in place to prevent voting. What a difference that would make. We who have lived in L'Arche have witnessed that diversity in religion, language, culture, race, and all other differences can enrich our lives. They don't need to divide us. We are told that if 25% of any given society is committed to make a major shift, it can happen. If enough of us believed in, desired, and worked for a major shift in our society, it could happen. What might this shift look like? Mutual relationships and trust in a higher power would be at the heart of our society. We would celebrate the unique value of every person, race, color, religion. We would celebrate all differences. We would recognize our need for one another and collaborate instead of competing with one another. Are we, you and I, up to this challenge? I think we are. Thank you.
One thing that I learned really early on in L'Arche is that I can't do things alone, and that my best self comes out when I'm with people.
I'm trying to help people with disabilities and syndrome don't be treated in the wrong way. We talk about things together. We help each other.
And I also learned really quickly that other people's best selves come out when I'm supporting them.
It's hard to remember what life was like before Peace House. And I think that's a really beautiful thing. It's just been a place of incredible welcome of, I feel like, my whole self. And I just strive to give that back as much as I can.
The best description of L'Arche is sharing life with people. That's what we call it. We call it sharing life. And that's what we're doing. We're living our lives together. And sometimes that's difficult, but a lot of times it's really not. And you can just be yourself and give what you have and receive what others can give to you as well.
It could be in the small things like cooking a meal together, or when someone's having a hard day, I'm there to ask them how they're doing.
I cook on Monday nights, and I do help with dishes and put the dishes away from the dishwasher.
We vacuum a lot of dog hair up pretty often. That's a daily task. I was just thinking it's kind of cool. Tim and I have both lived in 2 of the L'Arche Chicago homes.
Yeah, Angel House and now Friendship House.
Yeah, I think a good friend helps you to be the best version of yourself and accepts you no matter how you show up. If you're like 50% and really tired, or 100% and bringing a lot of energy, they'll be with you and celebrate with you and cry with you.
And they do the same for me. That is something that we do often in L'Arche. We check in on each other. We share the things that are going well in our lives and the things that are going hard in our lives. And hopefully then we start to realize that we have a lot more in common with each other, that we're actually not that different.
Hi, I'm Mick, Executive Director and Community Leader of L'Arche Chicago. As you've heard several times tonight, L'Arche is built on the foundation of relationships. And that includes you watching tonight. We're grateful for longtime friends of L'Arche who have been with us for over 20 years, some who are gathering already in the 1980s, dreaming of a L'Arche community together here in Chicago. We're grateful for core members and assistants who have committed their lives to living and sharing together in our homes these last 20 years. And we're grateful for new friends, whether you've been with us several years or whether this is your very first L'Arche event. Thank you for joining us tonight. And we're grateful for our event sponsors, Wintrust Hinsdale Bank and Trust and Kinslager Brewing Company. I ask for your support tonight as we make this exciting step to create a new home that meets the vital needs for accessibility and mobility in our community, both for core members already living with us and for those looking for an accessible home right now. By donating $125, you can help to lay the foundation of a fully accessible home for core members. Please go to the link below right now or to our webpage at larchechicago.org. Sharing these links with friends and family is also a great way to help us reach our goal. Thanks again for being with us tonight, and we hope to see you at one of our future events, including our monthly community nights on Facebook Live, where you can learn more about L'Arche and have fun interacting with community members every second Thursday of the month at 7 p.m. Thank you and good night.